a film of 2014 written and directed by Richard Glasser and Wash Westmoreland, is a film adaptation of the novel written by Lisa Genova in 2007. Lisa Genova was born in Massachusetts, where she still lives with her family. After a degree in neuropsychiatry from Harvard, she has dedicated her life to the study of the brain and its most mysterious diseases such as Alzheimer's. Her TED Talk, What You Can Do to Prevent Alzheimer's, in which she shares the latest science investigating the disease and some promising research on what each of us can do to build an Alzheimer's-resistant brain, has been viewed over 4 million times. Alzheimer's doesn't have to be your brain's destiny, says neuroscientist Lisa Genova. Lisa has captured a special place in contemporary fiction, writing stories that are equally inspired by neuroscience and the human spirit, and her first novel, Still Alice, at first sold door to door, has become a publishing success awarded by a resounding success all over the world. The story is that of Alice Holland, a woman in her 50s who has always relied on one thing in her life, her own mind. She is an important woman in the Ivy League academic world. She is the eminent William James Professor of Psychology at Harvard University. She has produced, during 25 years of distinguished career, many of the flagship touchstones in psycholinguistics, and she continues to lead an interdisciplinary and integrated approach to the study of the mechanisms of language. Alice Holland is also the pillar of her family. Her husband is a scientist and she has 3 children: Tom in his 3rd year at Harvard Medical School, Anna a successful lawyer, and Lydia, the youngest of the 3, with the dream of becoming an actress. A life full of successes that soon will be upset. In fact, when in a very important conference, speaking in front of an international audience of academics, Alice loses a word, a simple word that she knows very well, but she can no longer find it in the storage of her mind. She realizes that something is wrong. At first, she blames the glass of champagne, then an early menopause, but when the sense of disorientation and confusion begins to be so strong that she does not remember where she is and how to get home, she decides to go to a specialist. The diagnosis is early onset Alzheimer's, one of those of strong genetic linkage. From that moment on, everything will change and Alice will start losing not only words, but also names, memories, and all the notions she learned that have made her the woman she is. Her family will be there, with the heartbreaking task of being close to her without really recognizing her anymore, enjoying the rare periods of light and lucidity in which the real Alice appears in her new life. The reader will immerse oneself in this journey, that is the advance of the disease, discovering all its phases and experiencing firsthand the story of this woman who fights not to get lost. The film adaptation has some discordances with the novel from which it's taken. In the book, we can perceive much more the state of confusion and the entire course of Alice's disease, with many more events described. I found myself confused in some parts, as if I could experience for a moment the state of confusion of Alice herself. There is a scene in the book, not shown in the film, where Alice is in the classroom, but we don't really know why, whether she should teach a class or attend a conference. We find her sitting, looking around confused, like the students themselves, and at the end she gets up and goes away. We understand that Alice was in the classroom thinking she was a student, and not seeing the teacher coming, she thought just to leave. Her past is not well explained in the film. Her mother and sister died in a car accident in which her father was driving. The relationship between Alice and her father became strained, but if Alice had understood the scenes, she wouldn't have blamed the alcohol for the battered brain of her father. In the novel, her frustration towards the man who, from her point of view, murdered her entire family is crystal clear. In the novel, the characters are characterized much better. The children of Alice have a key role in the story, and her husband is always with her. Instead, in the film, they play a marginal role, because the relationship between Alice, played by Julianne Moore, and her daughter Lydia, played by Kristen Stewart, is one of the main themes. Two other themes are shown as by the author in the book, but they aren't in the film. The support group created by Alice, with whom she organizes meetings at her home and with whom she exchanges emails, and the clinical trial drug Emily, fictional of course, but used by Lisa Genova to show us the reality of people during clinical trials. Even though the film was played with extraordinary skills, in fact, Julianne Moore won the Oscar for Best Actress in 2015, the book far exceeds its film adaptation. I chose this book because it's one of those that you'll remember forever, one of those books that make you think about life. In 290 pages, Lisa Genova accompanies the reader in this human tragedy. This is a novel of important themes: disease, love, and family that alternate in a flurry of emotions. If I'm being honest, however, I chose it because once I finished the reading and turned the last page, I found myself lost in tears, thoughts, and also I was a little scared. Would you be afraid of losing yourself, of losing memories, forgetting the faces and names of the people you love? How does it feel to look in the mirror and not recognize yourself? How can a person, a child, a friend, a husband, accept impassively the course of a terminal disease? No one can do it, so how do you keep living? There are so many questions that this reading has made me think about, and in my own small way, the only answer I give myself is that life must be lived for what it is, day by day, thinking that the present is a gift and the future an uncertain mystery, and so live it intensely, taking joy also in the small moments, but above all, collecting memories. Mind, consciousness, memories, identity are the essence of human being, and in this story, it seems a paradox that a disease like Alzheimer's could attack a person who has dedicated her whole life to the study of language and mind. But there it is, to peep out into Alice's life, because after all, a disease does this. No matter who you are, or how much money you have, or what university you went to, a disease comes suddenly. You don't choose it, and that's why you don't have to justify your change. A person with dementia, however, is treated differently than a person with limb cut off or with cancer, and many times Alice underlines this thing. It's often used to stay away from people with dementia because there are no weapons to fight it, and no one is there to encourage you, no one is there to think you are brave. And while a cancer patient can rely on the help of the community, she feels like an outcast. A person with dementia, however, is not just that. Is a person who lives with a disease and tries to do that in the best possible way. And for this reason, we should not limit in living this new life. This, even if veiled, seems to me to be an appeal that neuroscientist Genova makes us understand through Alice's words. We need to try not to look at the scarlet letter that marks those affected by this disease, but we need to be understanding with them because they will make mistakes again and again. We need to give them autonomy instead of limit them. We need to work with them and help each other, both people with dementia and their caregivers. This is a journey towards an inexorable destiny in which along the way impotence and hope are alternated. That sense of impotence in front of incurable diseases and that continuous desire to cling to the hope of the effectiveness of clinical trials that science presents us. It is a journey that ends in the oblivion. The film at the end shows us the empty expression of Alice's eyes. They smile, but they are empty, without memory and without identity. It is a journey guided by love, however, that love which is the greatest strength of a man. Yes, because Alice may lose herself, but she'll always be Alice. And her memory will warm the heart of any people she loved, of any people who loved her, and now they have to learn to love her in another way.